Hello there, beautiful internet and you amazing creatures of the beyond. We have a nice and interesting character really knowing how to dance on our screen today because I want to talk about AI in games. And I'm not referring to like the general AI, like the dumbstruck AI that we get in most of the games are just like they're scripted. I have seen some interesting reports where they're trying to integrate AI to interact with you. Just like you would talk to ChatGPT, the AI would interact with you. And I found this fascinating in many ways. Most people are just gonna jump and say, they're gonna take away the jobs of the voice actors and so on. And to some extent, that is true. But again, as I said many times, and I want you guys to understand that these are basically my opinions. I'm not trying to say these are facts, these are just educated guess, but I believe that AI should be used as an extension, a tool, just like the first time the computers came in our world and improved our lives and mechanized manufacturing lanes and so many other new inventions that improved how our society has developed, so will AI. And it will be something that we will learn to live with because it is a very powerful tool. Unfortunately, it is a tool that can easily be used to harm as well because as it stands right now, it doesn't have a lot of restrictions or a lot of regulation on how it can be applied. So it's kind of a no man's land. And I have seen, like for example, there is this game Starborn 2 where I have seen AI integrated to um, read the text and emulate the voice. And of course, the voices are not perfect, but they're there, they're working. Interestingly enough, it works quite localized. But the big companies today, they see a potential of forcing games to be always online because if they integrate something like ChatGPT and you encounter a character in, let's say, GTA 6, because Rockstar was playing with this concept. And I even saw a mod um in Skyrim actually with a companion that uses the voice emulator, and but it also interacts with you through the ChatGPT. Well, a module like ChatGPT that talks back to you based on what you answer it via your microphone. So you can talk to them, and for example, you meet an NPC in the game and ask for direction or ask how they're doing and what they're thinking about things, and they can interact in a more natural and fluent way. And that is all great and good, but then what about the voice actors that are currently today? And this is the part that I think should be better regulated about how AI should be implemented. As it stands, the voice emulators sound very robotic, and you can notice that they're not perfectly human. But voice actors could actually lend their voice and train this AI to become better and better. And every time the AI are being used, they get commissions and whatnot based on uh, how they create a contract with the gaming companies. So it would not replace them, but they would enhance the whole process by taking part with the AI to improve all of this interaction. And now here comes the part that I don't really like, that you have to be online and create this sort of connection between you and the server to have the AI integrated in your game, so it has access to the resources, so they are not localized on your computer. But that is actually something that companies really want to have. But technologically speaking, your computer can run an emulated AI, certainly with more restrictions than what the online version would offer. But in a conversation, when an AI reaches his limits, it can just simply say, "I don't know," or "I have maybe I'll think about it," or something like that. It would give you an ambiguous response, and it would just avoid the questions that it cannot process, for example, or it would take them a really long time. Or maybe next time in the next playthrough, you meet the same character, you have the same conversation, and maybe the AI by that time learns to better have a conversation or gives you more interesting responses. Of course, they're still going to be heavily scripted and limited because they have to revolve the scope of what the game is. They can't just start talking about anything else but what is in the game, like related to the stories and the characters and so on. Otherwise, it would not be. Although that is an interesting idea to have a game where where AIs have their own personality and do their own thing, and you go into their world and not necessarily abide by the rules, but interact with them and see what they're capable of thinking and doing. That would be a really cool concept. But then this brings me to my next part of the conversation. We've seen some news with OpenAI where the CEO was initially fired, and I forgot his name right now. Let me Google it. Uh, what's his name? What's his name? Sam Altman. Yeah. And Sam Altman was initially fired, and since Microsoft has 49% of the actions in OpenAI, they came in and said, "Well, we'll hire you." Then Sam Altman was reinstated by the board and so on. And I believe that Sam Altman is somebody who really, really understands what AI truly is, because these boards try to monetize OpenAI, AI in general, such as ChatGPT and so many other modules. But Sam Altman understands that the moment you put a paywall and limit the access or force the users to interact with the AI in such a way where the companies have control, then you might have a situation where, let's call them open source interested individuals who would like to create their own version of AI, which is possible. It's not impossible to create something when you have resources and you're supported by various entities. Let's just say somebody like China or Asia in general. India also has a lot of interest in this. The Oriental countries and so on would be open to invest a lot of money into creating new modules, and they would not necessarily monetize it, but leave it more open source or, well, freely available. And then you would have this AI wars of who dominates the markets. And it would create a very awkward situation because if you let the these actors that can create AI with maybe malicious intent, then it would overtake the market of mining cryptocurrencies, for one example, creating extraordinary viruses and other vulnerabilities in systems that would work at unparalleled speeds. So what I'm trying to say is that Sam Altman sees that there is a need to implement OpenAI in such a way that it's not necessarily fully open source, but it comes with all the tools that helps developers out there, but it also institutes a moral high ground, the ethics of how AI should be used. Because as I said, AI right now, it's very easy to misuse and to create some very horrible things if we let it unchecked. And imagine creating an AI that starts developing its own purposes and developing its own clones or whatever via the internet. And it's possible that it would create a catastrophic nuclear meltdown on the internet to the point where social media will fail. Well, and I'm not saying that I root for social media in general, but all these huge hubs of social medias is where most people interact across the globe. And that is super easy for us to interact from various countries, various cultures, and meet and clash and have debates and ideas and so on, and create these friendships. And, you know, but if AI would dominate the internet at one point and fracture it, people will start to isolate themselves into community groups that are bubbled out and maybe more localized than the global infrastructure that we have right now. I'm not entirely sure if that's a good or bad thing, but it's something to think about. So I this is why I think that Sam Altman is trying to introduce OpenAI as freely available as possible, but when it comes to understanding how to use it, it also comes with a guideline of implementing it right and not using it to the detriment of humanity, but using it to enhance humanity online, especially. And I really, really hope that he pushes for this idea that everybody should have open AI in their own machine, but in a way that it's not necessarily connected online. Just like you would install any software or any game, and occasionally you get updates. But just like on Linux, you have full control over what comes to your machine, understand how your AI is developing, and of course, there would still need to be some restrictions to not let the AI go haywire and mess with you or your machine or manipulate you in any way, you know. But that is a very, how should I say, sensitive topic on its own. Anyway, we started with AI in games and ended with the philosophical debate of what AI can do to us. Uh, and it's crazy because it's an unknown. If it didn't, we didn't see AI impacting us so fast, so quickly on all these mediums, because if it starts integrating into games, that's a very short step from integrating into other manufacturing, well, industrial complexes and so on that we have at the moment, and go into analytics, go into other jobs that, well, could either help us or, well, fracture our society as a whole in reality as well. So, because as I've seen throughout this human history, companies don't have the best interest of humanity most of the time. They have their selfish interest of making money. And when they see an opportunity, even if it's short term lived, they will go for it because CEOs are dumb. I don't understand really how we can look at big companies and have incompetent people rule over them just in the hopes of doing more money for the company, but neglecting humanity as a whole, because humanity is the clientele of the company. Without humanity, you can't work as a company. You don't have any revenue. Unless then they start making AI work for money, and yeah, but that's weird. I don't know. As I said, AI could lead humanity to abandon capitalism at one point and money altogether and create this everything shared. But It's weird because we don't know the speed at which it will impact us. Maybe it will happen in 10 years or 50 years or 100 years. But looking at how fast it develops right now, it can be even tomorrow. Whew, AI can be scary, but it's interesting. We have to be curious rather than fearful of AI. And I think we can do great things. But we, as humans, we have to be more active to how we implement everything and not let it in the hands of a few to decide that for us. We shall see. Okay, guys, you stay awesome. I'll catch you next time. Bye, 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 bye.